I truly believe that this eXp thing has been born out of your generous, generosity, that human quality that people want to help others. And I think that thing that goodness that resides in all of us, you exemplify. And I truly believe that eXp is an expression of that, an entrepreneurial expression of your desire to help people and change the world, make it a better place, and make it a better place for real estate agents. Because let's face it, there's probably no group that works harder than maybe first responders, but it's got to be first responders and then real estate people that work tirelessly weekends and Sundays and at night, at midnight, getting calls from people that are making the most important decision, or probably financial decision of their lifetime. It's kind of a long-term commitment too. And the fact that you're changing that and giving people that are already willing to work hard and figure out how to balance their life and family, give them an opportunity to earn equity and build a massive team and have financial freedom. My hat's off to you, man. And that's why I wanted to be part of this. Not just, it's really because I like you. You're a cool dude. I am a friend of yours and of eXp.
So we're gonna try something a little bit different for this particular session. Grant and I are going to share our webcams, and if everything goes well, we will not crash the system. But it would, and then I think I hear somebody. And by the way, I don't know if your mic's on yet, Grant. Not hearing you yet.
Hey, Glenn, I can hear you, Glenn. I was just doing my little thing.
There you go.
Showed me my function bar, and I'm getting all excited about it.
So real quick, Sierra, if you can release the control of the window, Grant's going to actually share his webcam. Awesome. Hey, Grant, do you see that screen there? And then can you click the...
My wife's helping me. Real estate's a family sport, so I gotta get my wife on the same page with me here. Yes, now I'm there. Thank you.
There we go. Hey, Grant.
Glenn, how you doing, man? I was so busy doing my little function keys. I'm so excited about playing with my function keys. Good to see you, my friend. It's weird to see you on the stage and on the screen. And what can anybody ask for? What's better than one Glenn Sanford? Two Glenn Sanfords.
There you go. That was fun on that clubhouse. We were doing that, and I saw Glenn Sanford popped up like multiple places around that clubhouse that one day. That was pretty fun. So Curtis did, he did the intro on you. Obviously, you've been doing some amazing things over the last, since you were born, but more recently, a lot of really cool things that you've been up to. And you and I've got a chance here recently to, get to know each other, spend some time together. We got to spend some time together in Miami, and then also in Cabo. I'm just going to check some messages, make sure everything's working in the background. Yep, looks like everything is. But where are you from? It's like, I'd love to just kind of share with everybody your background. And
thank you, Glenn. And first, before we get into me, I just want to say how much I appreciate and really respect you as a businessman and a humanitarian, somebody that cares about people. I truly believe that this eXp thing has been born out of your generous, generosity, that human quality that people want to help others. And I think that thing that goodness that resides in all of us, you exemplify. And I truly believe that eXp is an expression of that, an entrepreneurial expression of your desire to help people and change the world, make it a better place, and make it a better place for real estate agents. Because let's face it, there's probably no group that works harder than maybe first responders, but it's got to be first responders and then real estate people that work tirelessly weekends and Sundays and at night, at midnight, getting calls from people that are making the most important decision, or probably financial decision of their lifetime. It's kind of a long-term commitment too. And the fact that you're changing that and giving people that are already willing to work hard and figure out how to balance their life and family, give them an opportunity to earn equity and build a massive team and have financial freedom. My hat's off to you, man. And that's why I wanted to be part of this, not just, it's really because I like you. You're a cool dude. I am a friend of yours and of eXp. So.
Well, no, it's been really an honor to get to know you and your family and spend time with you. And I'm sure we could probably talk about that for this whole hour. But I think today we're gonna talk about just some really cool stuff that I think I'm still learning. A lot of this stuff I don't know the answers to yet.
Yeah.
And so
yeah, sure. So I grew up in Lake Charles, Louisiana, a small town, about 70,000 people. You have almost as many agents as I had, the population of the town I grew up in, and which is mind-boggling, right?
It is. It's crazy. Yeah.
So my dad was a stockbroker. My dad did a lot of things. Like him and my mother owned a grocery store. My mom tells me stories about how he was weighing chicken out for the people on the weekends. He was an entrepreneur, right? So he did a grocery store. He was in automotive sales for a short while because he was a life insurance salesman that started a life insurance business, lost it, took a car sales job just to keep the family afloat. And then he was a stockbroker. The last 10 years of his career, he was a stockbroker. And this is back in the 50s. And he died when he was only 52 years old. But one thing that I remember is on the weekends, he would sell stocks during the week. And on the weekends, he'd put the family in a car. There were 5 kids and mom and dad, and he would drive around looking at real estate in Lake Charles. And now it's kind of a bit of a like, okay, you sell stocks during the week. Why weren't you selling real estate all week? So because he was enamored by real estate. I think like a lot of people are. Everybody wants to own a piece of the dream, right? So I grew up. He died. My mom raised me then from 10 till I left the house at about 17 or 18, and I became a handful. Had a lot of problems in my life between 16 and 25. And didn't really start growing up until I was about 25 years old. Started my entrepreneur quest when I was 25. I started because of sales. I hated sales. A lot of people find this, they're surprised when I say this, but I had 7 sales jobs that I sucked at. I was absolutely horrible. And the only thing consistent with all those jobs was me and the fact that I knew nothing about sales. I knew nothing. And, it's hard to like anything you know nothing about. I was thrown into a job. I couldn't get any other job in the city that I lived in. It was a refinery town, a union town. And if you wanted a job, you were either going to flip French fries, hamburgers, work in a restaurant, be a dish boy or a waiter. I did all that stuff, by the way.
Right. Yeah.
Or be in the refinery business, or you're going to be in sales. And I kept trying the sales thing. I was terrible. I sold shoes, furniture, clothes. What else did I sell? I worked for a life insurance salesman for a while, but I couldn't sell anything because I didn't have a license. And the last job I had was as a car salesman, and I hated all of them. And I'm like, hey, you can't get any other work. My dad used to tell my mom, tell those boys, if they can learn how to sell, they can do anything they want. And my mom reminded me of that when I was 25 years old. And I put my head down. I said, okay, I'm going to learn this game because my dad said it was important. And I learned it. Not only did I learn it, I would end up becoming like it became the gateway. The crazy thing is the very gateway. That the thing that I hated became the thing that actually I'd become known for.
Right. Well, I was just doing, I was getting ready for our conversation today, and I'd done the search last year, and sure enough, came up today. You right now are referred to as the #1 sales trainer in the world right now, and which is really amazing, given you came from a background where sales originally was tough. It was a tough gig. I always say that in order to get good at sales, you have to basically go to 5 different sales jobs, because every time you start, everybody's going to judge you with that lens and sort of hold you in a little bit of a box. So you got to change careers multiple times before you sort of figure it out. And but now who would you say you studied the most in sales?
Like I didn't even know there was something to study, right? So like I think the first thing, what was the guy's name that, man, I forget his name now. He was the guy that started all the self-improvement stuff before Brian Tracy and
like Dale Carnegie kind of thing, or
yeah, it was before him too though. It was God dang, I forget his name now, but he was the one that like, oh wow, there's a way to look, a lot of people are helping out. I did Tom Hopkins, Zig, Napoleon Hill, somebody before Napoleon Hill. He was the guy, not Bob Proctor. Look at all the people. No, definitely not Tony Robbins. Og Mandino. I read all Og stuff, by the way. Loved all that.
Oh yeah,
right?
Greatest salesman in the world.
Abraham Lincoln. Somebody said Abraham Lincoln. Now I think Abe was too honest, maybe, but Jesus. Now they're putting Jesus in. I'll figure out the name before we end here. But when I realized, that you could learn it, I said, okay, wait a minute. If they teach it, I can learn it. I can learn anything.
Right.
Once I committed, and I knew I was committed because there was nothing else I could do. The people are still searching this. So, see, that's the crazy thing when you bring people together with this kind of technology. By the way, great job on Verbella. This is phenomenal. I'm just getting used to how to use it, but it's phenomenal to think what you could do with this. I got a set of tapes when I was 25 years old. It was $2,500. It was a guy that was teaching sales for the auto industry. It was $2,500. That's like $8,000 today.
Right. Kind of like Joe Girard kind of thing.
Yeah, it was. It was a guy named Jackie Cooper, and he
okay.
was just.
Oh yeah, he was a big Oklahoma City guy.
Yeah. Well, no, Oklahoma City guy is the car dealer in Oklahoma City. This guy was from South Carolina, same name.
Okay.
And I borrowed $2,500 from my mother at a time where my mother I was not very trustworthy in her mind. So I had to really William Clement Stone. That's the name. By the way, it just came to there. And there's somebody just putting it in. Juan Alvarez. Congratulations. William Clement Stone, one of the first founders of self-improvement, which really is that's just a word for education outside schools. Right? It could be about anything, karate, any boxing, anything that you're doing outside schools is really self-improvement, right? Church is self-improvement, hopefully. So I bought those tapes, Glenn. First, I made a commitment. I am going to learn this game. I'm going to become an expert at sales. And 2, I made an investment, a big investment for me at that time because I was broke. I was $40,000 in debt. I didn't have somebody buy the tapes for me. I bought them myself, borrowed the money from my mother, and I would use those Betamax tapes. It must have been 8 tapes. They were about this thick, this long. I had to go buy a machine because I didn't have the machine, just goes to show you how committed I was. And I must have listened to them 100 times. I knew every pause, delay, pregnant pause, joke. Literally, I listened to him so much and studied it so much that I started picking up the guy's accent. And then one day, my personality kind of just morphed into what I was learning from him, and I was using it every day. I was role playing every day with a buddy of mine at the office. And I reached the top 1% of all the salespeople in the automotive industry within 9 months. Was like in the town that I was in, it's almost nobody would believe you could do that. And then later would become a consultant to Nissan, Ford Motor Company, not a car salesman, but as a consultant to those industries, AutoNation, some of the largest automotive retailers in the world.
Yeah, and how old were you at this point in time?
I left retail when I was 28 years old. Okay. 29 years old, yeah.
Okay, awesome. And then you were helping these other organizations understand the sales cycle and how to train their people? Was that the idea?
What happened was I was selling 3 and 4 times the average salesperson, and my customer satisfaction scores were the highest in the industry. And they're like, "How are you doing this?" And I said,
what was your answer then? Yeah.
Yeah, it was, I said, "Look, I'm transparent. I do everything you guys say not to do." It's kind of the eXp model, right?
Right.
So I just basically, before you could even, if you came to the lot or you called me, basically I offered you a price before you could even ask for one.
Okay.
And that was back 30 years ago. Like, you could, to get a price from a car salesman, you had to have a crowbar and a gun.
Yeah, well, it still seems that way. You've got the sticker that's on the window, and then there's
it's still hide and seek, right? But I was the first person to say, "Hey, don't resist what they want. Be armed with information. Information is your friend. First impression is not as important as last impression. Nobody has a good first impression of a car salesman. Nobody meets a car salesman, and for that fact, probably a real estate agent says, 'Oh, I love that person,' right away. They're not buying, by the way, they're not buying the person, they're buying the house or the car anyway. Right. They just need to trust me along the way."
And one thing I have noticed, like I didn't really know this part of you, because I just saw the social media and some of the other stuff prior to, but you care a lot, like you immensely about the people that you influence.
Don't tell anybody, Glenn. You're going to mess up my persona.
No, but I'm sure that's part of what was coming through. I mean, I mean, obviously you were selling a product and a service, but you cared about the people coming in. I'm sure that had to come through.
Yeah, look, I just want to be clear with everybody. Like, when I was starting as a salesperson, I cared about the deal. Mm-hmm. I wanted to do a deal. Ryan Serhant talks about this as well. I'm a deal maker. I want the deal. Okay, so I care about the deal actually the most.
Right.
And so, because I know this, if I don't make a deal, I don't help me and I don't help them. Mm-hmm. I don't help anybody because I'm just there to serve them. Okay, I'm not a server. I'm not a waiter. I want to make sure they eat the meal. Yeah. And I want to make sure they order some things they don't know that's on the menu. Because I should know, right? Like, when I go to a restaurant, I'm like, "Hey, they're like, what are you in the mood for? Whatever's the best on the menu. You work here, you should know. What should I eat today? Like, tell me what to eat." And I think that's true in real estate too. Like, many of your buyers are on the wrong product. They maybe did some of their own research and they think they can't afford $8 million when the truth is they can afford $8 million, and they would be better off spending 8 than spending 2. So I just learned how to make the deal. The deal is what I cared about first. Second, I cared about me. I mean, just to be honest, like, if I don't take care of me, I can't take care of them. And the third thing I did was take care of the customer. And I think it's vital that real estate agents care about yourself enough, because once I have enough self-love and self-care, and I think this is what you now know about me that is not, maybe, that I don't do a great job on social media with, is like, once I take care of me, I can now take care of other people. Right. If the deal's no good for me, then how am I gonna fake it that I'm happy for them? It's kind of difficult.
Right. Yeah. There's got to be enough in it to make it worth your while, but at the same time, it's got to be a product or service that you're excited about getting people into. So you got to have the alignment of both opportunities. It's got to be great for the person you're working with, and it's got to be great for you because it's got to capture your attention.
Right. And again, that goes back to, like, if it's not good for them, then it's not good for me. And who do I care about first? I care about me. Like, if it's not good for them, if me and you do a deal and it's not good for you, then it's not going to work anyway, long term. So, right. I look, in the beginning, I was just trying to take care of myself. Mm-hmm. I mean, I needed to learn how to quit. If you guys don't like selling for 3% or 5% or 4%, well, then care about yourself enough to get educated so that people quit asking you for a reduction in your fee. Because the only time somebody's going to ask me for a reduction in my fee is when I didn't over deliver. If you deliver a 10% fee and ask for 6, you're going to get your 6.
Yeah, and you talked a little bit about this. Got to hear you on stage at Brent Gove's event in Cabo, and you talked about 5% of agents and then the rest. And you were really clear that there's that probably that 1 or 2%, but I think you were being a little generous. Like there's the 5% of agents that do a really great job, and then there's the agents that maybe they're getting educated so they can become that 5%, but there's a group of agents out there that really need to think about leveling up their game so they don't have the commission conversations, or the commission conversations are, well, what are your fees? Okay, I'm fine with that. You're doing a great job. It's not really a debate or a discussion. It's okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I was on a deal recently. I was buying a piece of real estate, and the agent offered to throw his fee in because the deal got really complicated at the end. The seller had a problem. Seller was unwilling to give anything, and the broker's like, "Hey, I'll throw in." I said, "No, I don't want to do that." And he was willing to throw in a chunk, and I said, "I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that to an agent. Like it's not your fault. Let's figure this out. We got to get it from them, or I got to surrender it. You shouldn't surrender it," because he had done his part.
Right.
And so, I just think that, look, I wouldn't be where I'm at if I studied 95% of the salespeople. I am where I'm at because I studied the top half, probably the top 1 of 1%. Like, I decided to study two people, and that was it.
Right.
And
did you keep those 8 tracks, by the way?
I wish I had them. I wish I knew where I could find them. They're probably in storage somewhere.
I remember the movie The Founder, and he's running around with his records, and he's setting it up every night and listening to them in his room. I can just see you with your 8 tracks or your Walkman.
I was living with my mother. Okay, I would just come out of a treatment center for drug addiction. I was a wreck, and I would take the Betamax machine. I literally can see the room right now where I had it set up on the TV, the carpet, we had shag carpet, a green couch, and I would sit there and I would just, like, I'm 25 years old, but I'm really like 15 because I had done it 10 years of my life. And so I'm just sitting there watching it, like I was just streaming content into my brain, right? And I'm like, this is the way. There is no other way. This is the only way. And I was not open-minded. I was completely, this is the only thing. Like, you could have talked to me about something else. I didn't want to hear anything about anything until I learned this one track. And I think that's really important for people. People today are listening to so many different people. That one piece of advice I would give for everybody here is, like, find someone and emulate that person. Don't get advice from 10 agents. In your lifetime, if you meet 1 or 2 agents that are great, that'll be, and you learn from them, that's all really you're going to need.
Well, speaking of learning from agents, last week you did I think the first ever 10x real estate agent challenge. In fact, well, I know that was the case. First time that ever been done. What were some of your big takeaways? I mean, there were so many great guests last week. Obviously mentioned Ryan. But we had Heather and Tarek and Claudine and
yes. So, like, it's 26,000 people registered for that event. About 3,000 showed up every day. So the first thing I learned is, okay, we got a show issue. We got a commitment issue in the industry, and that's good. By the way, that's not bad news. That's just news, and that says that your competition, supposedly your 1.4 million people that you think are competition, they're not really competition, because if you're not showing up to improve yourself, you better be doing a deal.
Right. Yeah, and that's why, to a large extent, that 5% of agents or top 10% of agents make the lion's share of the income. I mean, the bar is actually set fairly low. I mean, once you get success in the real estate industry, you realize that, answer the phone, do what you say you're going to do, keep the small promises, and you'll get the big deal. That's been sort of my mantra the whole time. It's just, just do what you say you're going to do as a real estate professional. And it's actually not a tough gig, but a lot of folks just don't do the follow-up that they originally planned on. Life gets in the way. And so they mess up with their commitments, and then they sort of embarrass themselves and don't follow up.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing I learned, I loved everybody that came up, and I just heard the commitment from the people that did show about improvement, self-improvement, being committed. Everybody talked about brand and marketing being the almost to a person. Brand and marketing was their most important skill set. But look, once you market, if you don't know how to close a deal, then you're going to be wasting money in marketing. So you got to put those two things together. I think it is marketing first, then sales. I wish I had known that. I think that really gives eXp an opportunity and an advantage right now in this marketplace, because you guys are getting a lot of press right now. Saying that you're eXp today is different than it was 4 or 5 years ago. I'm on your team now too, so like that can't hurt, because I am I'm a marketing genius. I know how to market stuff.
You definitely do. Speaking of brand, where did you obviously 10x? That's your brand that you, and so where did that come from, and how did you develop that brand?
So look, I did not do that to build a brand. Okay, that was a sub product of a book that I wrote. Okay, I wrote a book called The 10X Rule. The book was written for me. I was really trying to identify why I had been, and this is for everybody to hear this. I was 45, 46. I was maybe 49 years old, and realized I had been working for 24 years. Great work ethic, extremely disciplined, saved my money, take care of the customer, and I still wasn't getting ahead. And I'm like, I'm doing something wrong. Something's going on that I'm not doing right here, because I'd see a guy like you do something, man, and freaking just go into the stratosphere. I'm like, what does he know that I don't know, And I think a lot of people can relate to that story of working hard, work ethic, doing the right thing. I'm not ripping people off. Yet I was not having any kind of big pop out the top growth. So I wrote a book called The 10X Rule. It was basically discovered after 2008 from the collapse, because I had gone backwards from this reset, this global worldwide reset. And I asked myself a question. Hey, what would I have to do? What would I have had to have done so that 2008, 9, and 10 wouldn't have crushed me? And the answer was, if I was 10x bigger, it wouldn't have crushed me. And that's I said, that's the name of the book, The 10X Rule. And then I wrote a book about how you have to 10x everything: your customer base, your friends, your connections, your network, your information, your attitude, the follow-up, your money, your investments, how you have to be in 10x vehicles. Like, I think eXp is a 10x vehicle. When you and I first got together, I'm like, hey, one of my first questions, how many agents do you think could really be in this network? And the number's 10x times what you guys have right now. Would you tell me, 500,000?
Yeah, I thought 500,000 was an ambitious but realistic number that we were going after in the next 5 years or so.
Yeah, worldwide.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm like, okay, that's 10x, and if you get that big, you become what I wrote about in a book called "If You're Not First, You're Last." Okay, that would make eXp first, and as long as you're first, you're golden.
Right. Yeah. It's been pretty surreal to say the least. Even where we've come to so far, and in the next couple of years, in theory, under 2 years from now, we could be the largest single real estate brand in the world just in 2 years, not even considering what it could be, 5 years from now.
I'm gonna help you get there, my friend.
So how many books have you written now? You've written quite a few, I think.
Sell or Be Sold, Close Survival Guide, If You're Not First, You're Last, The 10X Rule, the Millionaire Booklet, Playbook to Millions, and there's probably another 8 or 9 Close Survival Guide. I forgot about that one. And there's probably another 8 or 9 programs, business programs that outsold actually the books.
And in how many languages are these books in?
Well, the Millionaire Booklet's in 38 languages. That book was written 2 hours, published in 30 days, and in 38 languages in 31 days.
Wow. Okay. And was that based on demand, or you wanted to get it out there in that many different languages?
Yeah, I went on social media and said, man, who can speak Arabic? And the next thing, all these people are like, I speak Taiwanese. I'll do it in Spanish. One guy offered to do it in Canadian. Hey.
Yeah. How they come up with the name Canada? CANADA.
Yeah.
First, I'm from Canada, so I can say that. So, the bacon. Yeah, I was doing a search earlier just with books, and I noticed that like the 10X rule's been translated to a bunch of different languages, and I think Sell or Be Sold. I saw that bunch of different languages on the cover. So it's how does it feel to think about, you know, how many people on the planet you've impacted so far? And I know you've got an ambition to go much larger.
Yeah, that's one of the things I'm most proud of. You know, my dad always told me, even though I didn't know him very long, he was like, hey, your name's the most important thing. And so, and you know, there's nobody that doesn't respect my dad, even 50 years later, that knew him. You know, the fewer and fewer people around to be able to have that story. But, you know, my goal was like, okay, I'm going to make people know my name. I'm not going to do anything to ruin it. And I'm going to get my dad's name. I'm going to get it known to the world. I was two Saturdays ago, I was on a call with 10,000 Nigerians. Like, it's crazy, man. Like I remember one day where I decided, I said, I am going, and it was after 2008. I said, I am going to get my name known in places I can never even get to. And somebody's like, why would you want to do that? I'm like, because if they know me in Nigeria, they'll buy from me in Miami.
Right. And then the other question is why not? Like, why, you know, it's like, we only got so many years on planet Earth. Why wouldn't we go big, right?
Yeah. And you know, the technology exists today. Like, it didn't exist for my dad.
Right.
It didn't exist the first half of my lifetime, but it exists today. And then when you collaborate with other people, like, look at all the flags here, Canada, the UK, I don't even know what some of these flags are. It looks like Africa's in here. France, how many countries are you in now?
I believe it's 14 as of today. We just opened up Spain, and we just announced 3 more countries that we're opening up before the end of the quarter. So,
well, there
15.
You go. And one of the reasons I collaborated with you guys is because you're in Brazil. I have friends in Brazil. I want to know more people in Brazil. I can collaborate with your machine and your purpose and the people, and the more people I can influence, the longer I can live.
Right. Well, no, and personal branding. I mean, and you talked about, you know, branding your name. You know, for real estate professionals, that's absolutely key for them. You know, making sure that you're the first person somebody thinks about when they're thinking about buying and selling real estate. You know, that's what every agent in the world, they should be striving to do in their local communities.
It's the way of the world. I mean, if you want your business to grow, you know, the number one thing is people. So if you can get people to talk about you in California, and you sell real estate in Houston, and they're talking about you enough in California, they're going to probably be talking about you in Houston.
Yeah.
In the old days, it used to be target marketing, right? Just market to your target. But today that is not reality today. Today the reality is target. Let the world talk about you.
Mm-hmm.
There's 9-year-olds making millions of dollars on YouTube video by delivering something that people just want to look at, and then people buy ads on top of it. So it's a different game today.
So we have we're going to transition about 20 minutes or so to our actual official portion, which is our shareholder portion, which we have a statutory requirement to do a shareholder meeting once a year as a public company. and which is, it's pretty cool, but there's also that some extra work that goes along with that. But I was, there's a number of, investors are probably already starting to watch the live stream, and I'm sure they'd love to find out what is it that, ultimately put eXp Realty on your radar. What was it that, got you interested in partnering with eXp? I know it's not something you've done before in the residential real estate space, and so there were certain things you saw there. So I'd love to hear some of that.
Yeah, so I'll just tell you from personal experience, like because of who I am and what I do with companies, you learn a lot about industries and the companies that giants in those industries. There's always giants in whatever industry, the medical industry, real estate, finance. There's the giants, and how they treat their people and how they are interested in education and improvement, because I've been around these companies. In the automotive industry, I know the guys, the manufacturers that are most interested in the people, not just selling cars. And I've done some work with other giants in the real estate space. And it was always, hey, come speak and get our people excited, but there was never any follow-up. It was just a shot in the arm thing, make our conference good. And so when I heard about eXp, and then, I started researching you and what you were doing. I mean, the first thing that got me, Glenn, to be honest, was the pay plan. It was like, I can get a commission, I can build a team, and I can get equity. I'd never seen that before anywhere. I saw little pieces, like semi-commitments to it. And they all said they train. I've heard that from every one of them. I know them all, by the way. So I bought enough real estate and been around long enough. I know every name in the game. But you were offering something different. Then when I met you, I'm like, okay, this guy lines up with what he's saying. I'm an extremely good read on people. So for me, that's what's the difference. I just tell you, like, I own no stocks. I own 2 stocks in my portfolio, and you're one of them. And the other one I bought, and I regret it. Like, I've never really wanted it. I just don't want to get rid of it because I don't want to lose money right now. So I bought $1 million worth of eXp last week.
Awesome. Well, it's great.
I think I can tell people that publicly because I'm not.
Yeah. No, it's something you did personally, and thanks for becoming a shareholder, and we'll work to build an amazing company that you can be proud of owning. So that's.
I bought it at $28 too, folks. So like, I look at it every day, and that's the only thing I hate about stocks. You look at it every day. I should be looking at my customer, not the stock, because I know the stock's going to be fine. It's just, look, when we go from 50,000 to 100,000, there's no way you don't get to 100,000. I have 13 million people that follow me. I know how many customers I have. There is zero way in my mind, mathematically, that you don't get to that many when you're just starting to add these other countries.
Right. Yeah, no, for sure. And we're just we started the year at 41,000, 100, I think it was, and we're now over 54,000. I think I got ahead of myself on Friday. I think I said 55,000, but we're right there. We're right at the cusp. We're about to go over that 55,000 mark. And you think it hasn't even been a full 5 months yet. So you just do the math.
Exactly. It's just math. Like, there's 8 billion people on this planet. It's the same way I do any of my goals, right? So I know how many customers I've sold at my company over my lifetime, and 100,000 is not a big number on a planet with 8 billion people. And if you guys think there's a lot of real estate agents today, just wait 5 years from now. There's going to be more.
Oh yeah. Well, and it's any sales career, there's so much turnover, but then you've always got the cream that stays in the business, because it can be, any good sales career with a decent comp plan, it's good money to be made for those who are professional. So, one of the things you mentioned at the very beginning, you mentioned first responders and real estate professionals being sort of 2 categories of people that work hard. And that's good. I think that the general theme that I picked up from that is that these are both spaces that is to some extent inconvenient for those that you love and care about, because you get a call, somebody wants to see a home, and they're and especially in this market, you've got to juggle a lot of family type activities in order to be successful. One thing that I've picked up from just watching you and getting to know you and Elena and Scarlett and the whole family, Sabrina, is that you're very much of a family person. This is a really significant support network for you that you lean into and support, and they're supporting you. How do you look at that in a career like sales, and how do you help salespeople sort of understand or help their families get behind them in a business that in the early stages might be a little
for
more
those
difficult.
of you that are old enough, there was a group called Sly and the Family Stone, and they had one song that answers this question. I don't know if anybody can remembers that one line in that song. I think it was. Let's see if anybody knows it. Sly and the Family Stone. Let's see, because I know real estate agents are most of them are my age or thereabout. No, nobody's coming up with it. Yeah, it's a family affair. You remember that song? It's a family affair. And so, for me, business is a family affair. It's not business and then family. So I basically created a life where, the business is first, and the family gets to service the business. So I do things a little backwards in my life, and I've always been a little contrarian as the way I see things. It's like what I said to you earlier about, I really care about the customer. Yeah, I do care about the customer, but I care about me. I need to care about me so that I can care enough about the customer, right? Because everything really starts with us. So for me, I told Elena before we had kids, I said, look, the business, if we take care of the business, it'll take care of us. Like, let's build a life that basically we don't really know the difference between our business, our kids, our family. Like, it's all integrated. Every time we touch anything, every time we do something as a family, we actually enhance our business. And every time we do something in our business, we actually enhance our family. And so we just kind of constructed it as one thing, as opposed to having two things to manage, even though they both have to be managed and they both need attention. And then we sat down and looked at, okay, what resources would we need in order to run a business big enough so that it would take care of our family, and our family could assist the business, and it would be fun, and serving to both.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, would you? That sounds like a phrase I use often, which is a business constraint. And if something doesn't match the business constraint, it can't. You don't do that. Would you say that was like your most significant business constraint when you were like architecting your business?
Well, it was my family came late. I didn't start a family till I was 51. Elena and I got married when I was 46. And so, I had been hustling business for 21 years. And then when I added the business, I told Elena, I said, look, I'll do anything for you, but I can't give up my dreams. My dreams are to do something big. And she was totally cool with that. Let's do something big. So anytime the big stuff gets in the way, we both remind each other, hey, we both wanted the big stuff, and we know the big stuff. The constraints are the things that we don't want, right? Like, for me to roll with my kids, them going to a public school is not good. Them going to a private school is not good for me. Because if I want them to roll with me and I want to spend time with them, really quality time, I need more resources, and I need them to roll with me during the day. So we wanted to build a business where they could roll with me.
Right.
And it wouldn't offend, for all the real estate agents out there, as long as your kid acts right, it wouldn't offend me if your kid came on the showing. Particularly if the kid knew how to pitch. What do you like, Mr. Cardone? What do you like most about the house?
Right. Well, Sabrina would be the ultimate pitch person. Is she going to go with the Elena to go show homes?
Both my kids are killers, man. They're just like, they went and started their own Clubhouse accounts and got suspended yesterday.
Oh, did they? Because they're too young?
Yeah, they like, can we just start our own accounts? I said, sure. I knew they were going to get punched, but I thought it'd be a good thing for them to learn from, So yeah. So like the constraints are, if there were no constraints for everybody out there, and that's what I like about eXp is you're kind of a constraint free. You've created something where you kind of threw the constraints off. Well, what if we did give equity?
Right.
What if we did let them build their own teams? What if we did do it without an office? Not saying we would or we should, or we could, but what if we did? And that thing about what if we did, is always it's a mind blower. You can even use it with your buyers and your sellers. What if you did sell it? What if you did buy it? What if you did pay too much? So I think that's and that's one of the things that I find attractive about you and what you're doing is you're a what if we did kind of guy.
Yeah, no, sure. And when I think about business constraints, I think about the imagining what the future state of business is going to be, and instead of sticking with the old model, the business constraint is let's build the new model. Like the new model in 2009. I think a lot of people could have seen this, that they could have seen that in 10 years, you wouldn't have to go to a physical office to be a real estate professional. But somebody had to actually put a business constraint in place that was, let's build a real estate brokerage that doesn't have bricks and mortar. And so that business constraint ended up creating all these other benefits that allowed me to, like, there were a bunch of business constraints. I want to be able to work from anywhere with anyone at any time on anything. And in order to do that, I need to be able to be mobile and I need to be able to be connected at the same time. And so these business constraints ended up being this big driver of innovation. And so what are the things when you think about constraints? It's like when you say, hey, I want to be able to spend tons of time with my kids. What does that do to the business that you have to create to support that?
Yeah. And this comes out of some of my losses because my dad, I don't remember my dad during the day in the first 10 years of my life. He died when I was 10. So I'm like, I don't want to do that. I learned from that mistake, that experience, right? That, wait a minute, I want to build a business where I can be with my kids and my kids can roll with me and learn from me. I think I'm the best person to teach my kids. And I even hear the teachers say this, hey, if you don't spend time, I had a teacher say, are you going to read lessons with him? I'm like, hey, let him read lessons. You let him read lessons in English and history while he's here. I'm going to teach him what I can teach him because you can't teach him that stuff. So that's when Elaine and I started thinking about homeschooling. How could we roll different? What resources would we need if we weren't constrained? I got some people in here saying they love that question. What if you did do it? And those little things can really make a difference in how exciting the career becomes.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Well, I'm going to touch one last subject before we roll here today. But you this year in March, you did the first large conference of anybody in anywhere. I mean, I think you had 2,000 people plus in Miami. There was probably 2,500 people there, even though fire marshals probably said you had to be limited to a certain number. But there was a lot of people there.
That's probably right.
What's that?
That's probably right.
Well, I know there were a few people that I saw there that didn't actually have a ticket to go in, but they were there lobby conning it and the whole 9 yards. So it was a lot of fun. But this last year we did our shareholder summit in Virbela, which is awesome. We're doing our shareholder summit obviously this year, but going forward, eXpCon in November, we're going to do it in Las Vegas. But I know some people have already heard in the eXp space, but how is it getting back together with people again? How was that, and how's planning that? How'd that go?
Fantastic. It's people. Look, people want to be with one another. Not everybody's scared. And I always say, scared people don't do much, and scared money does nothing. So, you know, got to get out. You got to mix it up. You know, it's a great time. I mean, all these are opportunities. These are all opportunities that when you don't want to, when you feel introverted by society, conditions, or your own head, it's probably best to extrovert. Now, it's probably best to push through the fear. Fear is kind of a normal condition in life. It's probably always going to be there. Overcoming it, by the way, is also a normal condition of life. You know, and so there's time to go in, there's time to go out. I can't wait. How many people are you going to have in November?
Well, company wide, it's going to be, you know, who knows, something like 80,000. But in Las Vegas, you know, we could have 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 8,000. We could have 10% of our agent base show up. Which is pretty typical.
Let's go big or go bigger.
Yeah, so it's going to be pretty darn substantial, and I know I'm looking forward to it. And in fact, we've already got our location picked out for next year for the Shareholders Summit. We were just having a planning discussion. Was it yesterday? Actually, we did have a little bit of one yesterday, and I think we're actually too big potentially for the place that we're going to have it next year. But you know, we reserved it for this last year. And then this year, and then we had to kick it out because of COVID. And by the time we actually get to use the space, we may actually be too large to actually do the event there. So anyway, it's a good problem to have for sure.
I always say, if you're going to have problems, have big ones.
Have big ones.
The little ones aren't worth it.
Hey, so I know last week you were talking about, I think it'd be a great event for any of our eXp agents to take advantage of if you've still got room. But I know last week you were talking about a 3-day event, and I know we didn't talk about this. This is not part of the gig, but you had talked about an event. Is it in June or July? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, July. We're doing a 3-day boot camp here already. There'll probably be 1,000 people at this. Not as big as our last one. It's just not meant to be that big. 1,000 people is actually very intimate for us. I've done 30,000 person events. It's a 3-day boot camp, and then we follow that up with 3-day real estate investors summit.
Right.
So, that's I think the website's grantcardone.com/bootcamp.
Okay, yeah, there's one called /invest, but maybe it's boot camp. But I just think I want to encourage our agents and brokers that can take advantage of Grant's events. I've been around them now for just a few months. I think March was my first event, and I've got to see a bunch of this stuff in action, and I think it's a phenomenal investment. I know that some of our agents have went to a couple other things that you've done since March, and the feedback that I'm getting is just off the charts. So, Grant's part of the eXp family. If he's doing stuff, I highly encourage you to get involved in that. Anytime you invest in yourself, it's what's the one thing that I think you've said is once you've experienced it, once you have that understanding, nobody can take it away from you. And I think you provide some really great experiential and informational engagement opportunities that are phenomenal for agents to take advantage of.
Yeah, thank you, Glenn. And anybody that comes to our boot camps, it's focused on money mindset. What is your financial targets? That's where we start. And then then the second day is about marketing. How do you market yourself to become a celebrity? And then how do you become the best sales and negotiating real estate engine in your space? Because today, and Glenn and I have talked about this, with prices going this way, buyers coming in, like things are shifting really dramatically right now. You got inventory issues. You probably got some challenges today that are literally historic, with inflation issues going on, people throwing paper at real property like it's nothing, like people are buying second and third homes like Skittles. And you got a seller that's got unreasonable expectations, a buyer that's down here. The real estate agent that learns how to bring those two things together is going to be at the top of their game this year. And you have to learn that part of the game. And we'll spend 3 days focused on those three things.
Well, this is that's awesome, and I can't wait to get back together with you in person. Hopefully sooner than later. I know we'll be making some trips out to your neck of the woods, especially when it gets cold in the winter. But even between now and then, I'm sure we'll be down there, and look forward to all the things that we're going to do together. So thanks for taking time to be with our agents, brokers, staff, shareholders, prospective investors, and different folks today. It's always a lot of fun getting to have a conversation with you, Grant.
Hey, Glenn, pleasure. And to everybody at eXp, I'm wishing you and your family a phenomenal year. We're all on board. My wife has now become a certified agent here in Florida. Is it certified licensed agent here in Florida?
Licensed agent, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she's already got deals working. She's very excited about the game, and anything that my wife and I can do to help anybody on the eXp team, we're here for you. Thank you, Glenn.
Okay, thanks, Grant.